NFC Championship game. And was this necessarily a game, right? As the Eagles rolled the Washington Commanders 55-23, the most points that have ever been put up in a championship game in NFL history in terms of conference championships. And just the way that this one played out was pretty disappointing for the Commanders, all things considered, because I was rooting for them. I didn't think they were going to win. But when you see a team like this in year one of a rebuild go this far with a rookie quarterback, you have to have some hopes for them, right? But Philly comes out on the first play of the game, gets a sack on Jaden Daniels, forced them into an early third down. And it was really a great conversion, I thought, of third and fourth down early on in Washington on that first drive. A lot of courage by Washington and Jaden Daniels there. You saw that offense going kind of quickly. They knew that they were up against literally the best defense in the NFL. Went for it on fourth down multiple times. But I was kind of wondering why they didn't go for it on fourth down again, as they had already got it the first couple of times, rather the 2 times that was on this first drive. They still got 3 points, but it took them 18 plays to grind out here in order to get just 3 points. I really thought that they could have went for a touchdown there, or really went for another fourth down conversion. Now, of course, when you get blown out by 32 in the playoffs, doesn't necessarily matter that much. But I was keeping an eye on I was keeping an eye on Jalen Hurts' knee the entire game. We saw that he had the brace on, took it off right before the game, and it was an absolute non-factor. I mean, we know his knee was just absolutely fine. Saquon Barkley going for 60 yards on the first play of this game was absolutely the last thing that Washington needed. And I said it, they were going to get blown out if they could not stop Saquon Barkley, if they could not contain him. And sure enough, they were blown out. They could not contain Saquon Barkley. And when you're not able to contain arguably the best player in the NFL, the best running back in the league by far, it's not even close, you're going to lose this game by 32, which is exactly what happened. You saw a lot of short game early on for Washington, a lot of underneath passes, and the Eagles secondary was really daring Jaden Daniels to throw it deep. Jaden Daniels dropped back 48 times this game, I believe. Let me scroll down and see if I'm correct on that. Yes, Jaden Daniels dropped back 48 times in this game, and he had his hands full all night as he was pressured on 30% of those dropbacks, and that was all with a 4-man rush. So it's just more of a compliment, more of a shout out to Vic Fangio. And again, that Eagles secondary was just really daring Jaden Daniels to throw the ball deep. Zach Bond, of course, is all over this game early and often, forcing turnovers, recovering fumbles, and the Saints fans just continue to have the knife plunged deeper and twisted even more, knowing the mismanagement of Dennis Allen with this player. Saquon Barkley in this game was absolutely unreal. I mean, 2 touches, 2 touchdowns in just the first quarter, and that really set the tone for how the Commanders were going to get absolutely blasted, obliterated in the run game defensively, and nothing changed up from them there. I thought the fake punt from Washington also was kind of nice. It would, they needed something to really get them going, to change that momentum, to kind of steal a possession, and it somewhat did for them, but they didn't have anything going with the run game in this one, and it really was about time to abandon it. I think they should have really kind of earlier than they did. They weren't able to score. Philly just kept running up the scoreboard, and despite it being a rough start for Washington, though, they were still in the football game. They just needed to focus on clean offensive drives, and they were, until they couldn't stop Philly anymore defensively. And of course, that's when the game progressively and really embarrassingly got away from them in Philadelphia, because after they let up the 2 touchdowns on the first 2 drives, Washington's defense was kind of locking up, keeping Philly at bay, and then they're finally Philly's able to break through some of that defensive, lockup that Washington is showing them. They score at the end of the first half, but shout out the Commanders for stopping the tush push 4-2. That's a very hard play to stop. A lot of people saying that play will be banned in the offseason because it's just ridiculous how much the Bills, how much the Eagles can run it. Everybody in the league can run it, right? But nobody is as best at doing it as the Philadelphia Eagles. But the turnovers were absolutely the difference in this game for Washington. 4 turnovers, 21 points scored off of them, 3 of the turnovers being in plus territory for Philadelphia. So all things considered, Philly really didn't have to work that hard in this game to put up those 55 points, because they were continuously gift wrapped possession after possession after possession. And it was just tough to see overall that this Washington team, yes, you can't necessarily say that, turnovers accounted for 32 points, but it definitely accounted for 21 of them. So if you take 32 minus 21, you got what, an 11-point discrepancy there, which is kind of the margin that they were down by for the good bit of the first half, again, until Philly pulled away. It seemed like Washington would score. Philly would just come right back and, score again. I thought Jaden Daniels had a really nice scramble to get into field goal range, allowing his kicker to get points at the end of the second half. Eagles get the ball back in the third quarter, and Washington did well, all things considered, to really kind of stuff them up, But in that first half, Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, the three best offensive players for this Eagles offense, all had touchdowns, 101 total rushing yards that the team combined for. You come out, Washington does, you get back-to-back sacks on Philadelphia in this game to open up the second half, and that's exactly what you need. That was the perfect start for them to get this game rolling. You force a 3-and-out, but Washington didn't do anything with it. And there were a lot of empty possessions that I felt like Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury just absolutely left on the field, didn't necessarily put their rookie quarterback in the best situation to really be able to succeed. But Washington just straight up could not stop the run. The secondary was very handsy, as we saw. There were a lot of gaps, some busted coverages. Terry McLaurin was held for one catch for 7 yards by a rookie in Quinyon Mitchell, who is in the running for the Defensive Rookie of the Year. And that's no slight to Terry, but when you are a veteran, 6 years in this league, coming off your first playoff win, really first 2 playoff wins, and you're absolutely locked up by a rookie in Quinyon Mitchell. He had as many catches as you did. He slammed the door at the end of the game for the Eagles with the interception. So again, I'm not, this is not an indictment on Terry McLaurin, but more of a praise for Vic Fangio in the fact that those defensive rookies just absolutely have played out of their mind all freaking year. And Jaden Daniels continued to try to work through this game with his legs. He had a nice 2-point play to Olamide Zaccheaus, got Washington right back in it with being 11 points down again. So that was kind of the major margin again until they just really continue to turn the ball over. They weren't able to build any momentum. Philadelphia just really able to pull away. And there were multiple chances for Washington to climb back into this game. Again, that defense was starting to build momentum. You stole some, you forced the Eagles into some stale drives, and they just kept blowing it with turnovers. I want to talk about Frankie Louvu jumping the snap, which I thought was pretty remarkable in this game. I thought it was kind of a big IQ play that you can't really practice against a tush push. I mean, maybe you can try to mimic it with Jaden Daniels in practice, but he's not the elk of quarterback that Jalen Hurts is. They're on the 1-yard line. He jumps the snap. He continues to jump the snap again. Then the referee comes out. The whole story about the referees just doing or what they're not doing in these playoffs. It was an interesting remark by the ref saying that they can reward a score due to the multiple penalties of them trying to stop the score. And if you go look in the rule book, it is actually in the rule book. I don't know exactly where it is, but I remember seeing it on social media. So it was the right thing. But I've been watching the game of football for 20 years now, since 21 years, since 2004. And I had never seen anything like this and this magnitude of a game actually come out of a referee's mouth. And again, Washington would just score in this one, and Philly would continue to put the points right back up, continue to force the turnovers, continue to make Washington just play bad football and forcing them into stale offensive drives. A couple of situations in this game with the referees as well. There was a missed holding call on the Eagles on the 4th down conversion. I thought it was kind of a ticky-tack late hit call on Saquon Barkley. Now, yes, it was the right call, but let these guys play. You're talking about an elite running back in Saquon Barkley that is scampering to get out of bounds. And I want to say it was Sainer still that came up and laid the hit on him. Rightfully so. You hit guys big. That's what you're supposed to do. So I didn't like that ticky-tack call there. Again, let these guys play. And I understand the whole A.J. Brown, Marshawn Lattimore scuffle, but A.J. Brown literally ripped his helmet off, and Marshawn Lattimore was penalized for it. Now, yes, I want to say Marshawn did start. Saints are winning that trade, by the way. I want to say that Marshawn did start the altercation, but for no penalty to be thrown on the Eagles, just throw the flag, offsetting penalties, move on with your day. 7 rushing touchdowns given up by Washington is another big aspect here. 3 for Saquon, 3 for Jalen, 1 for Shipley. Again, Jaden Daniels dropped back 48 times in this game. He was pressured on 30 of them, or 62%. Nick Sirianni becomes the 3rd ever head coach to reach the Super Bowl twice within his first 4 seasons. Mike Tomlin is one of them, and I can't remember the first one that when I saw that stat on NFL Network. Again, the most points scored in any conference championship game in NFL history with 55. It's just an absolute domination by the Eagles. And Jalen Hurts now owns the most rushing touchdowns by a quarterback in postseason history. But as we hear all of these great comments for Hey, leave me alone, babe. I'm comfortable in what I'm in. All right. I'm totally good. The people don't know that this is not a fresh outfit. And you're just going to get into the comments and throw me out there like that. What's up with that? I still love you, though. Baxi did it twice. Saquon is too good. Yeah, Saquon Barkley is ridiculously good, man. You can't say anything negative about the guy. But after all this remarks about the game, where does Washington go next after this loss? I think it's plain and simple. They need to get more star players on both sides of the ball. The roster's young for the most part. They just have to get more experience, get a little older. They were playing with house money. They were not supposed to be here. We absolutely know all that. But this roster was kind of makeshift coming into the year with an Austin Eckler, with a Zach Ertz, Olamide Zaccheaus. Of course, Diami Brown has been there. And I think you could get a little more dynamic on the edge rushers as well. Now, you were 12th in sacks on the year with 43, and they do have a solid roster overall, but they have a ton of cap space. I think the second most cap space with almost $100 million to spend this year in free agency. They're on that rookie quarterback deal, which is the most valuable thing in the NFL today. So they just simply have to go out and get more star power. But I want to hear from you guys in the comments, in the chat. Let me know what you think about this blowout of an NFC championship game, where Washington should go next. And the Eagles are now in their second Super Bowl in 4 years, making Nick Sirianni's job look very safe. And there's nothing left that you can say to drag this team, let alone all of the Jalen Hurts haters out there.
Hey, it's AJL here. Appreciate you sticking to the end of the video here on YouTube. You could have chose any other show, but you chose my video, and for that, I'm very grateful. If you haven't already, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on social media. Hit the bell on the channel so you never miss a post. Check me out on all social media platforms. Right here, you'll find a chance to subscribe to the show, a related video, and a playlist. See you guys in the next one.